let's deal with the. I don't know if it's an elephant in the room, but at least we have a little. Do we have a little bit of short-term clarity with where we're at with Evander?
Yeah, well, he had the procedure, which we talked about, and he talked about it. So happy that it went well, and he's feeling good. So as far as like next steps, I think we still don't have that mapped out quite yet, and I think we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But he is going to have to get his knee back to normal so that he can resume his other rehab from his big surgery. So. I guess it is some clarity. Like this was something that was bothering him, and we had to get fixed. But the bigger question, as far as like when he's going to return, we don't have that info yet.
Is there another, like I don't know, Four Nations phase? Is there another window or a timeline that might give you another sort of look into what might be able or might not be an option to you?
Yeah, I guess that's probably a month away. I mean, we should know more at that point, when we get to the Four Nations, as far as how he's feeling, how much he's able to do, where he's at relative to his original rehab. So that I would expect us to have some more info probably at that point, like a month from now.
In your pro meetings, I mean, the next obvious questions on the cap end of things as well. You've got a plan with and without, I guess. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say it's still status quo. Like ever since the summer, we've been planning to, accrue cap space. I think we've been able to do a good job of that this year. Fortunately, we haven't had many injuries, so we've had a lean roster intentionally. Nothing's really changed on that front. So we did have our meetings to identify players that would be of interest to our group, and we had them a little bit earlier than typical because there is the Four Nations break. So looking at the schedule, we've got about a month now of games, and we want our scouts to target those players that we spent a while going through each team, and players that might interest us also might or might not be available. But we have a bigger list right now, so the goal is to go out, watch them play, see who we really are excited about, and then in conjunction with that, I'm going to start connecting with managers to see where they're at. If teams are, I think right now when you look at the standings, there's a lot of teams that are still in the hunt. Probably almost everybody in the league, with the exception maybe of a couple teams, probably think they can make it. So I'm not sure who the sellers are going to be yet, which is why we're in the early stages of that. But we had a good couple days where we really spent time talking about our team to date, who's played well, areas we'd like to upgrade if possible. But the cap space is still a question, and we're still operating under the assumption that Evander will be back. If he's not back, then that calculus changes. But right now, we don't have enough information to make that judgment.
The East especially is very convoluted, in terms of who will be the sellers. I'm curious, from your standpoint, though, do you have enough information now? Has there been a large enough sample size accumulated where you kind of know where the needs will be for your club?
Yeah, I think if you watch our team over the last probably 6 to 8 weeks, I think we've found a pretty good rhythm, and a couple things can change over the second part of the season here. Number one, you can't have injuries. So if you don't have your full group together, then you have to look at what might that look like, where do we want to shore up our depth situations. But also, players, maybe they don't play as well as they have, but I've been pretty happy across the board with the group. So it's really more fine-tuning than it is making dramatic shifts to our team. I think we like the roles that guys have settled into now as we have found our game as a team, and we're a little bit more organized than we were early in the season. It took some time to sort that out. But I think now as we look ahead, it's just trying to figure out, okay, what would be nice to add if we can. And then once we identify that, can we add it? Are those players available? What is the price? So there's a lot of steps that go into that, and we're kind of in the beginning of that stage.
And how does the room factor in terms of looking for a particular attribute of a player on the ice blended with off the ice? How has that come together in your opinion? And do you have what you like there, or is there a guy out there with an intangible that might be sought after to bring into the room?
I think we got a great group of guys here. I've had a chance to get to know them now. I feel like I have a good understanding of this group. A lot of chemistry with this group. Seem to love playing together, and is a really great vibe around the team, which is fun to see. Because if you don't have that, sometimes it's hard to get everybody going in the same direction, but that's not a problem here. As far as bringing other elements in some ways it's tough to know unless you have some inside info on one of our players played with a guy, or you don't really know what they're like in a locker room. But I don't think that's something we're lacking, is trying to bring a locker room presence in. I think we've got a great group here, so it's really more what skills do they bring to the table. That would probably be the focus more than anything.